What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Broadway Joel, the voice of Dominican boxing, and today we're gonna talk about Teofimo Lopez finally making his comeback. As you guys know, well, some of you guys know, not sure how long you guys been subscribed, but I'm a big Teofimo fan, and back when he was, when he beat Loma and all that, I was really excited for it. That was before I had my YouTube channel, but I've always been a Teofimo Lopez fan because he represented Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, and as well as I loved his fighting style, man. The guy's very explosive, very athletic, fast, and before he took his loss, I actually liked the way he used to trash talk. I felt like a lot of times his trash talk was very much so like some way the way me and my guys we trash talk. It's kind of disrespectful, but kind of like, again, like just the way us Brooklyn dudes are. That's the way we are, kind of like, we like to make our presence known, and he kind of had that, although people want to say, oh, he really grew up in Florida and all that, and yes, he did, but his father's from Brooklyn, and he definitely has a lot of his father's personality. And to some degree, that's a bad thing, if I'm being honest. But I really was a fan of him back when he was active and stuff like that. Ever since he's taken his loss, he's been really saying some weird stuff in the media, and it seems like he has never accepted that loss. And seems to always bring up reasons why he lost, and say that he still felt he won. Although, and I was there at that fight live, he lost that fight, fair and square. I actually saw the fight live, and then I believe the next day, no, not the next day, 2 days afterwards, I saw the fight on television, and I felt like, no, both live and on TV, it's pretty clear that Cambosos's boxing ability gave him trouble and beat him. And it just seems like he can't accept it. And he's expressed that he, at the time, he was going through a divorce, that he couldn't see his son, and he's put out tweets that were weird. And again, Teofimo, I don't doubt his talent at all. I don't. I know the guy's explosive. I know he got power. I know he's a great counter puncher. I know he has confidence in himself. These are all things I know about Teofimo Lopez. The only thing I don't know is where he's at mentally. Unfortunately, he has expressed these mental issues, and I'm not sure if he's seeing a therapist, but I would recommend he do so if he's not. And that's why this comeback is so important for me. Because, again, I'm a Teofimo fan. I literally got a Teofimo shirt on. And back when it was the Four Kings, that's who I was highest on. That's who I thought could be more popular than. I thought he was going to have the brightest future over Devin Haney, over Ryan Garcia, over Tank Davis, back when it was doing the whole Four Kings thing. And he's the first one to take a loss. But I'm also not one of those guys that you take one loss and I'm writing you off. I don't do that. I don't do that. This is boxing. You're going to take losses. I do feel like he came into that Cambosos fight with a bad game plan. I do feel that there was a lot of delays. And he was somebody who had already expressed that he was having trouble making the weight at 135. So the more delays, the more he had to stay close to the weight. He also caught COVID. He also claims that he had a torn esophagus or something like that, something in organ issue, which, to be honest, I know people want to say, oh, he's just making excuses. The reason I want to say I do believe him is because if you guys saw, he did some like body shot challenge where some guy, the guy looked like he was 6'8", 300 pounds of straight muscle. That's how the guy looked. And they were exchanging body blows, and the guy punched Teofimo pretty hard in the chest. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he got his injury. People want to say, oh, yeah, but that's his fault. That's him for being stupid. And I agree. That is his fault. And that is a stupid decision he made. But I'm not going to dismiss that might have had effect on him in the ring. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it did or it didn't, but I know definitely there was a lot of circumstances. And again, him not coming into the fight with a game plan really, really hurt him. He didn't have Joey Gamache in his corner, which he did for previous fights. But again, I'm not going to forget his previous performances against Diego Magdalena, where he was looking spectacular and explosive. literally punched the guy from behind his back, like was doing straight skill moves. You know, I'm not gonna forget that he knocked out Richard Comey in 2 rounds. You know, for the IBF lightweight championship. I'm not gonna forget that. I'm also not gonna forget that he beat Lomachenko, and he still has a better win over Devin Haney, over Ryan Garcia, and over Tank Davis. His win is better than what everything these other guys, all these other guys, these guys beat. Well, and that's 3 fighters I just mentioned. So I'm not going to forget all of that just because he had one bad night at the office. You can say, like, okay, yeah, but look how Devin Haney handled them and stuff like that. I'm talking about Kambosos. And that's a fair point. And Devin Haney's undisputed and all that. And much respect to him and his accomplishments, especially going to Australia. I just think, like, let's just see where Teofimo moves forward. Let's not write somebody off just off one loss. I hate, that's one thing I hate about this new era of boxing. And I'm not blaming Mayweather, because Mayweather just went undefeated, you know, because he's a great fighter. But people are now trying to emulate Mayweather and trying to stay with that Mayweather, oh, I'm undefeated and this, that. And if you have 1 loss or 2 losses, it's like, oh, like, that's it. Write him off. He's no good. He's no longer good. And I'm not one of those guys. I think Teofimo Lopez is still a top contender. And, you know, let's see how he looks at 140. I'm very curious. He has said in the past that making 135 was difficult for him. He's coming off a year layoff where I'm sure all his injuries, and he had a couple surgeries, by the way. I think he had elbow surgery and shoulder surgery after the Kambosos fight. I'm assuming he got whatever organ issue he had as far as his torn esophagus. I'm assuming he got that fixed as well. So there's that. There's just a lot riding on this fight, and we'll see. Campa, his opponent Pedro Campa is a decent opponent. Is he a fucking world beater? No, he's not. He's not one of these guys where you're gonna be like, oh my god, he beat this guy. It's amazing. But the guy's not a bum. The guy only has 1 loss, and he does come to fight. He is going to give Teofimo some resistance. He's not somebody who's just going to come in and lay down. His fighting style, Campa's fighting style, does play into Teofimo's fighting style, because Teofimo, he opens up a lot, and Teofimo, that's going to give Teofimo options to counter. And if we're being honest, that's probably when Teofimo's at his best, when he's countering. And although he did fight aggressive against Loma, if you see that fight against Richard Comey, how he got Richard Comey knocked out was a counter punch. And I listen, I'm just a big Teofimo fan. I love the way he fights. I love the confidence he has in himself. Hopefully the year off, he was well, it's been a little less than a year off, but whatever, it's 10 months off, I believe it is. Hopefully that right there helps him you know, recover and reset and get back to what he was focused on. Because he was, man, this dude he's on Instagram. Let me screen share his Instagram, man. He's on Instagram doing some really tough workouts and looking in phenomenal shape, you know, looking in phenomenal shape, looking like he's taking this fight serious. And you know, I just really hope that Teofimo, we get the Teofimo of old. Hopefully, whatever happened that night against Kambosos is a thing of the past. Right now, he's moving up in weight to a tough division where, you know, on his side of the street, meaning when I say his side of the street, I mean Top Rank. They got Josh Taylor, they got Jose Cepeda, Jose Ramirez, they got who else they have over there? Arnold Barboza, who, if you were to ask me, who do I think his next fight will be against if he were to beat Campa, which I'm predicting he does beat Campa. I would think that his next fight after that would be Arnold Barboza. So there's a lot of fighters in the 140 division in his weight class. And also, you got to remember, as of right now, Devin Haney is on the top rank side. He's currently a lightweight, the undisputed lightweight champion. But who's to say he doesn't move up after his rematch with Kambosos? I know they're trying to make the Loma fight, And that's definitely a good fight, a fight that I think sells well, especially in the Garden. I feel like in Madison Square Garden, that fight has sold some tickets. Um, I would love to see him fight Teofimo possibly at 140. You know, let's say Teofimo beats Campa, which again I'm predicting, then beats Barboza, which I think he should. His next fight after that could be for a title because he's high. He's already ranked high in some of these sanctioning bodies. Then he goes, becomes a champion. By that time, Devin Haney moves up, and that's a big fight. Then let's just say Devin Haney beats Kambosos in the rematch and beats Lomachenko. He moves up. The only logical fight, especially if Teofimo has a belt, is Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? That's the only logical fight, and I don't see how. I don't think either fighter would duck each other. I don't think either fighter would avoid each other. I think that's a fight both will be interested in, and both have been in the conversation of having. Let me screen share you guys these workouts Teofimo is doing. Looking on his Instagram, looking sharp, man, looking real sharp. Ooh, what the hell happened? I don't know why, but it's blurring out. Oh, what the hell? I don't know what the hell is going on. Try one more time. I don't know what's going on. But if you go on his Instagram, he posted up some real tough workouts where he's doing pull-ups and pulling himself up and then going down and then doing leg raises. So that's a full body workout. That's working out your core, your arms, your biceps, your back muscles, your shoulder, your traps, your forearms, a little bit of your triceps. Oh no, your triceps, yeah, on the way up. It's a full body workout, and he's doing it looking in shape, looking in phenomenal shape. Hopefully, the moving up to 140 is those extra 5 pounds make him stronger and give him the ability to have more stamina and not be so weight drained, A lot of times, fighters leave a lot in the gym. You know what I'm saying? They're looking phenomenal in the gym, but that last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pound weight cut really kills them. And although even though they had a fantastic training camp, to get down to the weight, sometimes that affects you. And hopefully that's not the case. But by the way, guys, if you guys want to call in, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. You guys can click that link. Boom, we can have a conversation and we could talk this boxing stuff. We could talk to Teofimo. And even any other fight and any other fights you guys want to talk about that are coming up, whether it be the August 20th, Alberto Puello versus Batir Akhmadov, as well as Hector Luis Garcia versus Roger Gutierrez. And the main event is Adrian Broner versus Omar Figueroa. If you guys want to talk about that card, hey, I'm more than willing. You know, my Dominicans fighting on that undercard, so I definitely want to talk about that. If you guys want to talk about Joshua Usic, the rematch, you guys can click that link, man. Let's see what you guys want to know my opinion, who's going to win and what's going on. I'm definitely with that, as well as any other fight, whether it be Canelo Triple G3. Yeah, I'm not sure who. By the way, what's on the undercard of that fight? Let me see. Let me check if BoxRec got anything. Because I know that's a pay-per-view. But what the hell's going on? All right. And if you're giving me a pay-per-view, I would assume, by we're little more than a month out. We're like a month and 6 days out from the date. So you guys should have something on BoxRec. I want to see who's on the undercard because, again, if y'all charging me pay-per-view, I want to know what I'm buying. So hopefully, I don't know why my computer's acting so slow. Hold on one second. Bam Rodriguez is co-main event for Triple G Canelo 3. Oh, really? That's interesting. Oh, actually, I did see that. I'm bugging. I did see that. But it's against a fight I never heard of, to be honest with you. But I am a fan of I'm a big fan of Bam Rodriguez. He's honestly one of my personal favorites in terms of skill-wise and talent. Man, he's a really, really fun fighter to watch. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, he's a really fun fighter to watch. Somebody who has a lot of elite skills. And although he doesn't have quite the accomplishments yet, I feel like in a few years he is. Oh, so they have Ali Akhmadov fighting Gabe Rosado. Really? This is for IBF regional title. So whoever wins this fight will be ranked there. And then Austin Williams, Ammo Williams is fighting Kieran Conway for a WBA regional title. So the guy he's fighting, Kieran Conway, is 18-2-1. So the record is not horrible. Diego Pacheco is going to be fighting on that card as well. He's going to be fighting Enrique Colazo, who's 16-2-1, and Mark Castro, who I feel like he's getting a lot of good opportunities, getting a lot of good opportunities on these cards. He's fighting a guy who's 7-1-2. There's two undefeated fighters who are honestly I'm not familiar with either one. Aaron Aponte, who's 6-0, he's fighting Fernando Angel Molina, who's 8-0. So these are two undefeated fighters. It's an 8-round fight in the super lightweight division, so 140. Anytime you get two undefeated fighters fighting, I always get excited, only because it's two fighters who are not going in there with the mentality like, oh, I'm just coming in to get a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? I hate that. Like when a guy's fighting a guy who's 16-8, and it's like, yeah, like don't get me wrong, that guy, I don't want to disrespect him. I'm not gonna call the guy a bum, but the guy's not really probably just gonna go in there and lay down. You got two undefeated fighters. Usually they both coming to win, and they both not gonna quit because they both don't want to give up. They both looking at like, hey, listen, if I could stay undefeated, the more opportunity I can get. But yeah, man. By the way, if anybody wants to call in and ask me a question or just sit on the panel with me and chop it up, click that link that's on the top of the chat on YouTube. It'll take you to a website and we could have a conversation, man. You guys could be on the show, ask me anything, and we could talk about anything. Especially if you guys want to talk about Teofimo Lopez. That's what this show is about today. We're talking about his comeback. He's fighting Pedro Campa, who, is a guy who only has one loss. And, Teofimo Lopez is also somebody who only has one loss. Obviously, their status in the sport of boxing is different, but, it's two guys who records aren't horrible, and both are known for bringing the fight. It's not going to be a boring technical, where dancing around type fight. It's going to be a fight where both fighters are going to be trying to hurt the other fighter. Both fighters are going to be trying to do something. So on the undercard of that fight, Xander Zayas, for the guys who are high on Xander Zayas. I was high on Xander Zayas until I saw him fight live. And he's still young, so this is something he could work on. So I'm not completely writing the guy off. But I feel like he doesn't fully sit on his punches just yet. Like I feel like he slaps at times, and that prevented him from getting the knockout from when I went to go see him in he fought under Edgar Berlanga on the card. Felt like he didn't really sit down on his punches, but he's fighting a guy, Elias Espadas, who's 22-4. It's a lot of experience and not that many wins, not that many losses. Excuse me. Troy Isley, Duke Reagan, two Olympians. Omar Rosario, who actually I like him. I got to see a little bit more of him. He's 7-0. He's going to be on that card fighting a guy who's 6-1. So as far as in terms of prospects, this actually has a decent amount of prospects. They have Andres Cortez. Let me see if I know him by face. He's 17-0. He's fighting Abraham Montoya, who's 23-1. 20 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Andres Cortez. He's 17-0 with 10 knockouts, And yeah, I mean, he's undefeated. He's fighting on this card. I'm interested. It should be a good night of boxing. Shout out to ESPN for giving us the option of watching the whole card on ESPN Plus, and then the main fights on ESPN, the regular channel. But one thing I won't say is don't shout out to ESPN. Yo, ESPN been slacking with the boxing content, man. Like they haven't really been putting out good content, competitive fights, or anything on a consistent level. They really haven't. I'm not sure where this they supposedly they have like a $60 million budget or something crazy like that, but I don't see it. Like I don't see where is that money going? Where are these big fights? How come we're not getting consistent fights? Showtime and the Zone are definitely put it on way better fights than ESPN. I do like ESPN, like the Zone, that they give you the option of watching the whole card on the app. Where Showtime, although they provide the better content as far as like they be putting these double headers, triple headers on Showtime, and most of the times they're competitive or evenly matched fights. So I would say Showtime has the best content, but in terms of you being able to watch the whole card, I feel like they haven't perfected that. They have been trying to do that a little bit more by putting it on YouTube, and we appreciate that, especially us hardcores, but they need to do a little bit more of that. Not gonna lie, I'm rooting for Teo to catch another L. Easily my least favorite fighter. I mean, to be honest, I can't knock somebody for not liking Teo after the Kambosos win. Now, before the Kambosos win, I would be like, come on, you just a hater. But I mean, Kambosos lost, excuse me. Thing is that he's been like not giving Kambosos his credit for his win, not accepting the win, making a lot of excuses. And then, like sometimes comes across as like really brash. And although me, I like whatever, I could kind of look over it. I can see why somebody is turned off by that. But I just look at what he's done before that Kambosos fight. Before that Kambosos fight, you cannot tell me you was not impressed with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez has speed, counter-punching ability. He was very athletic as far as like, he was very explosive. He could just jump in and he had power with knocking guys out. Again, I keep coming back to what he did to Diego Magdaleno. People go, yeah, he beat up Diego Magdaleno and knocked him out pretty impressively. But I'm more like how at one point he literally did a spin and punched Diego Magdaleno behind his back. He was styling on him, like was giving you the style points, was doing backflips after fights, had the Heisman Trophy pose after his big wins. Like he was really doing his thing. He was really out there showing you who he was as a fighter and showing you how great it was, what his potential was, and talking shit, and fought Lomachenko with 15 fights and beat him. And not only did he beat him, that 12th round is what made him my favorite fighter. And he's probably not my favorite fighter right now. I'm a little too invested in the Dominican boxing. I got personal relationships now, so he's probably not my favorite fighter now, but he's definitely still one of them. I still very much enjoy the memories he gave me. He gave me a lot of good memories in terms of how he performed in the ring. He's a good fighter, man. Whether we want to trash who he is as a person, we cannot say anything about his skills in the ring, man. He was on a decent run before beating Comey. Magdaleno was okay. Tatali was a good win, and Nakatani too. Yeah, no, they were moving him fast. And him and his father were very confident in themselves. Yo, they fought Lomachenko with 15 fights, and the guy was like 23. Yo, you got to have some balls. You got to have some balls to fight somebody with 15 fights and you that young for a unification match where the guy's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, had almost 400 amateur fights, was a 3-division champion. Like, yo, Lomachenko, whatever you want to say about him, he's overrated. He's an accomplished fighter. He's a very accomplished fighter who won numerous amateur tournaments. And people want to dismiss the amateurs, but people only dismiss the amateurs when their favorite fighter ain't do shit in the Olympics, or when their favorite fighter it doesn't talk about it. But when their favorite fighter is Andre Ward or one of these guys who got a gold medal, they want to talk about it. It's like, it's crazy. Hold on one second. Ooh. I don't know. This thing froze. Anyways, but no, Teofimo Lopez is definitely one of the more entertaining fighters in boxing, and his presence is needed. I feel like we missed that crazy wild guy, and we've always had crazy wild guys in boxing. We've always had, Roberto Duran, who allegedly, and I'm not condoning this, allegedly stuck his middle finger at Sugar Ray Leonard's wife. A guy who he was kind of like the bad boy in that original Four Kings. And that could be somewhat what Teofimo is in terms of personality wise, not accomplishment wise, obviously. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Teofimo's as accomplished as Roberto Duran. I'm saying they may have the same temperament. And, like another guy like Mike Tyson was a wild guy back in his time. Shout out to Mike. It's just boxing. Every now and then we get these type of characters, and people seem to, some people seem to gravitate to them, and some people tend to dislike it. Like Teofimo's like a guy's either you love him or you hate him. It's like there's very few people who are like, yeah, I just kind of like Teo. It's either no, I hate that guy. He talks too much. He won't accept his loss. Or you're like, man, I like his confidence. I like the way he fights, and he's aggressive, and he's an alpha male, and this, that, and the third. So a lot of people talk like that about him. So it really depends what you like. Hold on one second. I really don't hate Lopez. I've gotten used to fighters making mad excuses, so just to ignore. Oh, actually, Vivi just calling in now. Vivi, what's going on, my brother?
Good afternoon. I saw the Teofimo Lopez stream, and I was pretty interested. I'm excited for his comeback. He has a decent opponent. It should be an exciting performance, though.
I agree, man. And I like, again, I feel like his energy is missed in the sport. Like, again, Devin Haney's a really good guy, like, smooth guy, never pretty like buttoned up. No, Ryan Garcia seems to be like the diva. Tank Davis seems to be like the star who like thinks he's above everybody a little bit in terms of like, I'm the A side. And Teofimo, he was the guy, like the wild man, the cowboy, the outlaw, he brought that element of boxing, which has always been in the sport. And him not fighting for almost a year, I feel like is missing. Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's the most entertaining of the four, at least in terms of his personality, especially because, Tank has a personality, but he doesn't really talk as much. And Ryan Garcia just seems a little bit performative and seems forced. Teofimo, that's all natural. He's just naturally a character, and he's great at playing the character. He is kind of a villain role. So it's been missed. I like the build up to the Lomachenko fight. He was building up that for a couple of years. And then the Kambosos fight as well. It was exciting, kind of brought you in, entertained you. And you don't always see that.
No, I totally agree. I can't even think of somebody. I mean, you know who also has somewhat similar to what he brings to the table is the Charlo brothers. The Charlo, specifically Jamel, like really aggressive, really loud, and really like, and those things are going to turn some people off. That's just the reality of the fact. But you got to remember, some people are going to like that. Some people are going to gravitate to that. And like you said, it brings that villain hero, like Devin Haney. He's a really clean cut kid, doesn't curse, doesn't really, there's very few things I've seen Devin Haney do that I'm like, oh, wow, like he shouldn't have done that or shouldn't have said that. There's very few things. And Teofimo was like the total opposite. And, that dynamic of, yin and yang, I guess, for lack of a better term, I feel like it's very, very good for the sport, especially if they end up fighting in the future.
Yeah, I agree with that because especially with like guys like Haney and Tank, they're phenomenal fighters, but they don't really have that mouthpiece. A lot of times there's someone either doing the talking for them or whatever it is, and then you have someone like Teofimo Lopez and even Ryan Garcia. I'll put him in that category. They know how to talk, they know how to promote a fight, they know how to make it exciting. So they're always necessary. They're a key part of promotion, and they'll make any fight bigger.
Okay. Have you seen Pedro Campa fight?
I was watching him. I watched a little bit of him yesterday and this morning, and he's pretty decent. I think he could give Teofimo Lopez some issues, but the one thing that really stood out to me is how like leaky he is with his defense, and when he comes in forward, it's like Jose Ramirez, but like even worse. Like his head is way out there before he even throws any punches, so he's just like begging for Teofimo Lopez to land that right hand on him. I think he's gonna get knocked out.
No, I agree. I think he's gonna get knocked out as well. But I do think he's what I like about it is he's a fighter that's gonna give Teofimo resistance. And what I mean by resistance is he's not gonna just go in there, excuse me, to lay down. He's not gonna just go in there to be like, oh, I'm just here for a paycheck. I'm here to get knocked out. And you can have me on your nice little record. And it's like, no, I don't think that's the type of fighter that's coming in. And if Teofimo knocks him out early, which I don't think so, I think he probably goes a few rounds, 4, 5, 6 rounds. I definitely think he's gonna have to work for his stoppage.
Yeah, especially because Campa's going to push the pace on him and try to make it a scrap. And that's kind of what Nakatani did and did very well against Teofimo Lopez, albeit that was like 3 years ago, and Teofimo Lopez was a much younger fighter. But he's definitely going to try to, bring Teofimo some issues and make him scrap, even if he doesn't want to. Like he's going to control the pace, in my opinion. Teofimo Lopez is going to, have to bring out that dog.
Yeah. I do think Campa does bring a lot of opportunities for Teo to counter, and I feel like that's when Teo's at his best, when he's countering. Like I feel like he really fought offensively against Loma and try to roll that over into the Cambosos fight, and it kind of just didn't work. I think he's better off. Like, yes, he does come forward at times and he is aggressive, but I think when he's at his best, he's definitely countering, and Campa is going to give him plenty of opportunities to be countered.
I mean, the best we've seen Teofimo Lopez, I mean, outside of the Loma fight, is probably the Comey fight.
Yeah.
And Comey's obviously a much better fighter than Campa, better all around, better boxer, defensively more responsible. But he was counterpunching against Comey too, and finding openings and landing big shots. And I think he'll do somewhat of the same thing against Campa.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I'm excited. Again, Teofimo is definitely somebody who's been missed. And by the way, where do you think let's just say, and I think we're both predicting that he wins. Where do you see him playing out in the 140 division? As far as like, where do you position him now, or do you need to see the fight first?
I mean, I probably need to see the fight. Currently, I would have him around like Arnold Barbosa, like around that area, like 6, 7, 8, those kind of guys. But I think he has all the potential in the world. I think his potential to be a world champion. I think even fights against guys like Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis are phenomenal fights.
No, I agree. And 140, as me and you have discussed before, is a very, very talented division. So there's going to be a lot of good fights, fun fights to make for him. And hopefully he can position himself to get a title soon. After this fight,
Yeah, I remember their goal was to they were trying to get either a vacant belt or an eliminator for a vacant belt. So I wouldn't be surprised, because now I think Zepeda's fighting Prograis for the WBC. I wouldn't be surprised if Teofimo Lopez find himself in a WBO title shot against like Jose Ramirez.
Let me see. Let me look up the rankings for the sanctioning bodies, because if I'm not mistaken, he's ranked like already in the top 5 and like 3 out of the 4 sanctioning bodies at 140. I could be wrong on that, but I want to double check that.
I remember they were at least trying to rank him because there was some outrage about that.
Yeah, he's ranked number 5 in the WBO. Let me see where else. Number 10 in the IBF. Number 6 in the WBC. And number 8 in the WBA. So he's ranked in the top 10 in all 4 sanctioning bodies.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah, that's very high. That's very impressive. And Arnold Barbosa is ranked number 3 in the WBO. So, like, let's say he beats Campa and his next fight is against Arnold Barbosa. That may be for an eliminator.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a good fight, I think. I know they were trying to look down that route earlier this year, and the fight didn't materialize for whatever reason. But that'll be a good fight, because I expect after Liam Perot versus Brock Jarvis in September, Perot will fight for the WBO world title. So, there's opportunities there for Teofimo Lopez. And it's a pretty clear route, in my opinion, that he should take to get to a world title. And that will be Barbosa.
Yeah, and Barbosa is also ranked number 11 in the WBC, where Teofimo is ranked number 6. So if he were to beat him, he would be beating a ranked opponent, meaning he would be moving up in those rankings quickly. The same thing with the WBO. So things get interesting pretty quick. If he beats Campa and then beats what's his name, Barbosa. So, but a lot, before we get to Barbosa, obviously he has to beat Campa. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the opportunity of him for opportunity for him to redeem himself and restart his career. Because although he obviously, is coming off a long layoff, and is in the minds of a lot of people is not doing well mentally. He's only 25, so like, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Boots Ennis 25?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so Teofimo's a lot more accomplished than Boots, and people aren't writing Boots off. So it's like he still has time to develop, whether it be mental strength or maturity, or seek seek what you call it, like a therapist or something. He still has time for all that, as well as develop more skills, which he has in abundance.
Yeah, I mean, I think Teofimo he had a strong foundation early in his career, like inside and outside of the ring, and it all just kind of crumbled under him at such a young age. But that's also like that's a good thing and a bad thing, because he knows, outside of the ring he should stay in certain circles, look out for himself. But he has time. He's only 25 years old. He was in 2020, and I think it was 2020, ranked the number one best fighter under 25 years old, and that's for a reason. He beat Vasily Lomachenko very clearly, and so like, he very clearly has skills, and he's an accomplished fighter, and he's only 25 years old. So I think it's foolish to write him off. I don't believe in writing fighters off after one loss. I saw the same thing happen to Chris Colbert, and it's just way too soon. There's still the book's still open on Teofimo Lopez, who's a very accomplished fighter and still very young.
Yeah, yo, it's like it's crazy, because this whole new Mayweather thing, and that's what it is. You take one loss, and then they quick to write you off. It's like, what? Like, one loss? That was never the case back in the days. But a lot of people are holding everybody up to the Mayweather standard. And people got to realize, like, yo, Mayweather's a once in a lifetime type of fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not all the time that you get to see somebody go 50-0. There's a reason why people consider him the greatest of all time. So to hold every single undefeated fighter who's coming up and doing great things to Mayweather is not only disrespectful to Mayweather, it's also unfair to the fighter himself, the young fighter. Because then you take one loss and it's like, yo, nah, look, oh, he a bum. Look who he lost to. This, that, and the third. Like, you can't have a bad night at the office.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, and I've been pretty open to saying that Teofimo Lopez losing was horrible for boxing, but I think that's the best thing that could happen to his career. I think that was a great time for him to lose, and at least take some time to outside of the ring to recollect himself, and get his life together.
To humble himself, right?
Yeah, I mean, he needs that. He needs to understand, like, he has flaws. There's people outside of his team, in his camp, or in his camp rather, that aren't looking out for him, aren't in his best interest. And I think his eyes are a little bit more open to that now.
No, and it's also like the same thing. I know the guy you're high on, I'm high on as well. Elvis Rodriguez, he took one loss, yo, and it's like people making it out to be like, yo, this guy was never a hot prospect, this, that, and the third. I'm like, yo, all for one loss? Damn. And Kenneth, the guy he lost to, Kenneth Sims, in his next fight, beat another undefeated fighter. Like, and he had a draw with Montana Love, where a lot of people felt he won.
Yeah, and I mean, Kenneth Sims, one of those guys, and Elvis, it wasn't even like really Elvis being bad. Like, he just didn't do what he was supposed to do. Like, it's not that, like, he's not on Kenneth Sims' level. Like, Elvis Rodriguez 9 times out of 10 beats Kenneth Sims. Like that's the reality. So I'm not gonna write him off for that. Like I said, even his fight after that, I don't remember who he fought. It was on the Canelo Plano card. He looked great. He looked great in his last fight too.
Yeah, he fought Juan Pablo Romero, who was an undefeated fighter and was also an Olympian for the Mexican team. So it's like people not even focusing on what he did afterwards. Got 2 knockouts, and one of them was an undefeated fighter immediately after losing to Kenneth Sims. And it's like, yo, you guys are so focused on one loss that you guys are ignoring his hard work and ignoring his accomplishments afterwards. It's strange how the boxing fan brain works now, man.
Yeah, because it just happens so often. Like another example is Bektamir Melikuziev, who was dominant before the Rosado fight, and he was tearing Rosado apart, and almost got him out of there in that third round, and just got like he threw caution to the wind and got clipped by a veteran who set up a good shot. Like, like I'm not gonna like throw away all my stock on you just because of what one loss, especially in a loss that I think most times you're probably gonna win that fight, which isn't the case for Elvis, Teofimo Lopez, and Beck.
Yeah, it happens. It's boxing. Karma Serene, shout out to Karma. She says he needs to get back to the backflips. Talk about Teofimo. I mean, I love it, man. I found him entertaining because he's not only scoring, exciting performances in the ring, doing backflips afterwards, always wearing the Heisman jerseys and trash talking. Always was looking to promote himself. I like Teofimo. So yeah, he does need to get back to his backflips. And the only way you could be doing backflips is if you won. So hopefully he get back to winning.
Yeah, I remember like I think it was after he knocked out Edis Tadley. He started like dancing over him or something, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, I remember he knocked out. I want to say it was Mason Menard, and he started doing what's that? The Fortnite dance.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was hilarious.
Yeah, like my point is, like he has these moments where he's like really entertaining and really out there showing, not just out there like, all right, I'm here to fight, I perform. Hopefully, I make fans off of this performance. He's like, no, he's also trying to go viral, trying to talk, trying to dance and do backflips and all these kinds of things where he's not only going to get attention from the hardcore boxing fan. A casual fan may watch that fight and go, you know what, I like this kid. This kid got some personality to him.
Yeah, I think Teofimo Lopez and Top Rank, because there's definitely a joint effort there, and ESPN as well did a phenomenal job of promoting him, like a job that I haven't seen in quite some time from Top Rank. Like he was he was a superstar in the making.
Yeah, no, and you know what I loved about Top Rank? They had him fighting. I think it was 2 or 3 years in a row. I think it was 2. Right after the Heisman ceremony, and then after he would get these wins, he would put on the jersey, do these backflips, and like so. Not only you getting promotion from obviously the hardcore boxing fan or whoever watched the fight, if if the player who won the Heisman Trophy saw that and retweeted you Teofimo wearing his jersey, that right there could gain you some following off of whoever won the Heisman Trophy. I felt like Top Rank had a really, really smart idea in terms of having them wear the jerseys and as well as making that like another boxing holiday. The same way the Puerto Rican Day Parade is kind of like a boxing holiday. The Mexican Independence Day is kind of like a boxing holiday. The 5th of August, Cinco de Mayo is kind of like a boxing holiday. The fact that all these like holidays have been ESPN and Top Rank seem to have made another one.
Yeah, and I assume they're going to try to get Teofimo Lopez back out there in December if he gets rid of Pedro Campa. That'd be a brilliant opportunity to throw him on the Heisman weekend with against Arnold Barboza, because Barboza fought not that long ago and he didn't take too much damage against Zorilla. So I think it'd be okay. Like they could do that in December. That's
as long
get
as
some momentum.
as long as he doesn't get cut or like suffer an injury, whether it be a hand injury, shoulder injury, anything like that. I don't see why in 4 months he can't fight on that Heisman Trophy date. And again, do it all over again. Score knockout Barboza, do another backflip. I'm pretty sure he'll become a WBO mandatory by that point because, again, he's ranked number 5. I'm assuming he's going to move up after beating Campa, whether he move up to 4 or 3. But then, and Barboza is currently ranked number 3. So that fight most likely will be for an eliminator, and he'll be in position to fight whoever has the WBO title, whether it be Josh Taylor, if he sticks around at 140, or whether Josh Taylor moves up in the fight in the belts for vacant. So he'll fight one of the number 1 and the number 2 guy. Number 1 is Liam Paro, who I believe he would smoke, and number 2 is Jose Ramirez, who I also think he would beat.
Yeah, I believe the WBO ordered Paro and Ramirez to fight, but Paro's fighting Brock Jarvis in September in Australia.
That's a strange decision. Why wouldn't you want to fight an eliminator to become a mandatory?
Eddie Hearn's doing some like homecoming stuff in Australia, and I don't understand why he's fighting Brock Jarvis. Brock Jarvis had like one fight at 130 pounds, one fight at 135 pounds. They just keep moving him up. So, he's extremely undersized, and they're basically throwing Brock Jarvis to the wolves.
Very weird. Very weird. Yeah. And what fights coming up are you excited about?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't been paying too much to the schedule. I know Pedraza Come is coming up, and I was pretty excited about that fight. I remember it happened like 2 days ago because I completely forgot about it. But it's a pretty good fight. I'm really interested in that fight, and I'd say obviously Shakur versus Conceição. I'm pretty excited for that, and Michaela Mayer dethroning Alicia Baumgartner.
Oh, that's a fight I'm definitely excited for. And I'll be honest, I'm not a big woman boxing fan. Not that I don't watch. I do watch every now and then, especially the big ones. But this one, I'm actually a bit invested. I've seen both these girls fight a few times. So and also the Clarissa Shields Savannah Marshall fight, which is the main event to that fight that you just mentioned. I'm really excited for that fight because Clarissa Shields has only lost one boxing match, whether it be amateur or pro, and that was to Savannah Marshall, and she's currently undefeated. She's undisputed in middleweight, and she's going to be fighting Savannah Marshall, who's also undefeated and has shown to have power, something Clarissa Shields doesn't have. I'm curious, and I'm almost nervous for Clarissa because I don't know. I'm kind of favoring Savannah. How do you see that fight?
I don't know. It's such a momentous occasion. It's kind of like Taylor Swift, obviously not to that degree, but they both need each other to legacy fight, and it's gonna make each other a bigger name. And it's just the best fight for both of them. They're both so talented. I lean Marshall. I think Marshall will end up stopping her late, but I would not be surprised if Shields just botches her ears off for 10 rounds and wins easily. So it's one of those fights. Wake up one day, have one opinion, wake up another, and completely different,
Yeah.
and that's the best thing about it.
How about Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua? How do you feel about that?
My interest in that fight is not as much as I would have expected it to be after the first fight. I think AJ will do a little bit better, but I don't think Robert Garcia is the move for him. I've always thought he should have went to Abel Sanchez if he thought about beating Usyk. I don't think Robert Garcia is gonna get the right adjustments in his head to.
Why do you say that? What was Robert Garcia has trained a lot of good fighters.
He has, and I think that's why Anthony Joshua is probably going to come out a little bit stronger than he did last time. But eventually it's going to get to the point where it'll be like 6th, 7th round. Anthony Joshua's tank's going to be a bit depleted, and he's not going to know the adjustments he has to make, and he's not going to know what to do. And that's kind of where the issues will come, in my opinion.
I think Anthony Joshua biggest adjustment that he's going to make with training with Robert Garcia is going to the body. And if you remember in the first fight against Usyk, when he would hit Usyk to the body, Usyk would get hurt, man. Usyk, it just, for whatever reason, Joshua veered away from that. And Robert Garcia is teaches somewhat of that Mexican style to go to the body and to come forward. And I think that he's gonna do that. He's gonna come forward a little bit more, which is what he should have done. He shouldn't have boxed and go to that body, pound that body, wear him out, and I think he's gonna stop Usyk. I made that prediction in the first fight. I guess I haven't learned my lesson. I'm making that prediction again. I think Usyk is getting knocked out by Anthony Joshua.
It's very possible, especially if he works the body. I always thought that's kind of one of the issues that Rob McCracken had with Anthony Joshua. They never really had a dedicated body attack, especially with the amount of movers that he's kind of faced. He's fought Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, and not taking into those performances. They're both very good performances, but AJ could be a bit of a headhunter at times. Even in the Ruiz fight, he kind of got reckless and started hunting the head. And it's just like against Usyk, you have to wear down his body. Like someone like Gassiev didn't do it either. Gassiev got schooled. Like if Joshua wants to have any success, it has to start from the body. You have to slow him down.
No, and I want him to be a big man. Push this dude around. Lean on him. You know what I'm saying? Like I really hated the way he fought, and I know you're gonna disagree. I thought the first fight it was more about Joshua losing than Usyk winning. I thought if Joshua would have had a better game plan, he could have got this little cruiserweight out of it. But he fought a weird fight, a fight that I would have never instructed him to fight that way. And ended up losing a fight fair and square in his hometown. So I didn't like the way he fought, and I'm hoping because I'm hoping for a Fury Joshua fight, all British undisputed championship fight. And I think but this is one thing I wanted to say about Joshua is I do think that with his body work, if he doesn't stop Usyk with the body, one of the advantages, besides obviously tiring out Usyk and making him slow down while going to the body, is another thing. Joshua has a fantastic uppercut, and if he can hurt Usyk to the body and get him to lean forward a little bit and somehow land that uppercut, he could probably score a knockout of the year type performance if he were to able to, learn the combination to go to the body, and then when Usyk is leaning down, hit him with that uppercut. I'm really excited to see what new wrinkles Robert Garcia puts in Anthony Joshua's toolbox.
I think the fight has some intrigue as well. I've watched the fight back a few times since it originally happened. After originally watching, I was like, yeah, no. Usyk beat him 10 times out of 10. Like, before that, I thought it was 9 times out of 10. Like, I just thought Usyk was a horrible style matchup for AJ, and it kind of proved right in the fight, even though AJ had a horrible game plan. McCracken was telling him one thing, Fernandez was telling him another, so he just had no idea what he's doing. But yeah, no, especially if he works the body, it's gonna get, because Usyk likes to come in with a high guard. He's gonna pull his hands down, and that right hand, it was there against Garcia, there against Breedis. It's been there, Usyk's whole career. Set up that right hand, and it's gonna land. AJ landed it at will in the fight too. So he just has to set up those shots and a little bit better than he did last time, and find more opportunities, especially with a combination puncher like AJ. Like, AJ puts punches together better than anyone in the sport. Like, so he has opportunities. There's more on, like, will he capitalize on them?
No, I agree. And he also needs to constantly be reminded. And I know Robert Garcia is going to. Yo, bro, you're the bigger man. Push this little fucking cruiserweight up down. And when you're in clinches, just lean on him. That's something that Tyson Fury did fantastically against Wilder. Anytime they got in the clinch, he would just lean on him and put all his weight, and he tired Wilder out. That knockout, when Wilder got knocked out by Fury, yes, it was a great punch. That was more exhaustion than anything else.
Yeah, like Fury had some of those issues that Joshua has as well. Like way back, he was like 6'9", 270 pounds, and for no reason. He he was much bigger than anyone, much bigger than like Steve Cunningham, like, who was a fucking cruiserweight, and he wasn't really like using his weight and his size to his advantage as much as he should have. And eventually started to cost him even later in his career until he got with Sugar Hill. And that's some of the things that Joshua's done well. He lets these little midgets come up and scrap with him, and he shouldn't do that.
No, I totally agree. It's like, at some point you got to just know, yo, you're a bigger man, and one of the things I hate about Joshua is that it just seems like he doesn't trust his chin. Like, he'll fight in a way where he's like, I don't want to get hit in the chin. Like, I don't want to get hit in the chin. All right. I'm doing good, but I don't want to hit in the chin. It's kind of the way he fights. Like, kind of fights a little bit scared after that Andy Ruiz fight. And before that, that's not how he fought. If you remember that Vladimir Klitschko fight, he went through hell high water to get that win, and fought a fantastic fight, and showed his courage, and showed how great of a fighter he was. And I want him to get back to that.
Yeah, the Klitschko fight was significant because he got dropped in like the 6th round of that fight, and he got up and he was like, okay, let's go then, if that's what's going on. And he ended up like nearly punching Vladimir's head off his shoulders. And when he got hit by Ruiz, it's a little bit different. Like, he got dropped by Ruiz, and his legs were very clearly not under him, and he was fighting a little timid, and he was letting Ruiz, like 6'3", get all up on him and make it a much tougher fight than it should have been. And like in the rematch, he just kind of boxed around for I'd say like similar reason. He was scared of being hit by Ruiz.
Yeah, no, he just, and it's weird. He did really well in that first round, even cut Andy Ruiz in the first round. And I thought, he's gonna go in and stop this guy, and then just kind of figured, you know what? Let me just box and just get the win this way. And I was like, yes, a win is a win is a win is a win, but when somebody knocked you out and I want to say, feel like Andy Ruiz was never on AJ's level. That just never was the case. Let's not act. Let's not pretend. But it's like, he should have really closed that chapter by knocking him out. Because right now, Andy Ruiz is asking for a trilogy. And to somewhat, he feels like he's justified because, I knocked you out, but you only decisioned me.
Yeah, and I mean, like Andy Ruiz, his victory over Anthony Joshua was probably the biggest upset in boxing history. There's absolutely no reason why Andy Ruiz should have even been competitive in that fight, and it kind of showed in the first couple rounds of the first fight where AJ was just kind of manhandling. But I don't know. Like Ruiz is still a prominent contender purely because of Joshua not stopping him and Ruiz being able to go the distance. Because uh, I don't care. I don't think Ruiz did that well against Parker either. So I mean, he's clearly not on that fucking level. It's just Joshua's a coward. I was just gonna say it like that. Like even in the Pulev fight, he hurt Pulev in the third round. Pulev was like turning his back, and his idea was I should box. Pulev is chinny. He has horrible defense. His gas tank issues, and you don't go after him. It makes absolute no sense.
But didn't he stop Pulev?
Yeah, but in like the ninth round,
Yeah. You saying that when he dropped him, he should have stopped him then?
he could have got him
Oh,
out of there like in 5 rounds.
nah. Yeah. I guess he's playing it safe, but again, to me he got the right coach. I would have preferred a Teddy Atlas, to be honest with you, because I feel like Anthony Joshua's problems is more mental than it is physical. But again, Robert Garcia has a lot of experience. He's trained Brandon Rios, Nonito Donaire, Antonio Margarito, Mikey Garcia, I could Carlos Adames. He's trained a bunch of variety of style. Virgil Ortiz, and different temperaments, and his fighters usually come in well prepared. They come in the sun. I mean, there was a little bit of time where a lot of people in his camp were missing weight, but in terms of skill wise, in terms of what they do in the ring, and this is a heavyweight championship fight, so it really doesn't matter about weight. If I think he's going to come in prepared. I think Robert Garcia is going to come and teach him a little bit what he learned from his father, as far as Mexican style, and implement that in Anthony Joshua. And that's what Anthony Joshua needs. Anthony Joshua needs to get back to that aggressive, let's go, let's knock people out. I'm a heavyweight. I'm a big heavyweight. I'm 6'6", 250, 245. Like, he needs to get back to knowing he's that size and he's that dude. He's the dude who had 3 belts. He's the dude who won a gold medal. He's the dude who knocked out Klitschko after getting dropped. He needs to remember who he was. And I feel like it's more his mentality that's a problem, as opposed. It's kind of like, again, similar to what Teofimo, and not necessarily that Teofimo has a mentality problem, but what I'm saying is it's mental with Teofimo. I don't think anybody, even the biggest Teofimo hater, is going to say that he's not talented, that he doesn't know what he's doing in the ring, and that he's a bum. Nobody would say that. Even if you don't like his personality, you'll just say, I don't like he's talented, but I don't like his personality, and he has mental issues.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's it called? With Joshua, I think he needs to understand, like the shield of invincibility that he had around him when he fought guys like Povetkin and Parker and Charles Martin, it's gone. So he doesn't really have much to lose. Like then he had everything to lose. He's arguably the biggest star in boxing. He was undefeated, young heavyweight champion of the world, unified heavyweight champion of the world. He was chasing a fight with Deontay Wilder, and now it's like it's sink or swim. You lose to Usic, you have big fights, but you don't have the belts. You have 3 losses. One of them is by knockout to someone that you should have never fucking lost to. Like he like at this point, like you gotta be a man. You gotta realize what's on the line, and take some pride and be courageous. Go in there and send that little bitch back to cruiserweight.
Nah, and that's how I felt in the first fight. I'm like, yo, I predicted knockout of the year. That's that's how I was just kind of new on Twitter. I mean, excuse me, Twitter, YouTube, and I was like, yo, I'm predicting knockout of the year. I'm thinking my man Joshua's this big dude. Ain't no little fucking cruiserweight moving up in weight to beat him. Yo, Joshua, to me, his power is like is all-time power to me. Because when he be landing on these dudes, he be hurting them, and he be getting a lot of these dudes out of there. I don't know his exact knockout percentage, but it's definitely high. It's definitely in the high 80s, if not low 90s.
He's helped everyone he's fought outside of Ruiz.
Yeah. So like he went to decision with Parker.
Oh yeah, Parker too.
Ruiz, and I guess Usyk in a losing effort. Everybody else has been knocked out. Like people like to say like, oh, what's his name? Wilder. He's one of the hardest punchers of all time, if not the hardest puncher of all time. And I'm like, I listen, Joshua is just as much of a hard puncher to me, to be honest with you. Like, he may not have these highlight reel knockouts, but he's also fought better opponents than Deontay Wilder, if we're being fair. Like, the only opponents that are better on Wilder's resume is Fury, and he lost to him, twice and had a draw with him once.
Yeah. Joshua's fought, multiple champions, very, very talented fighters, and the two guys that didn't stop, Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz, have iron chins. It's very hard to crack their chins.
Yeah, those guys have never been stopped. It's like two guys he couldn't stop, never been stopped either in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't take away from his power for not being able to stop Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz, because I recognize the chins that they have and the resiliency that they have. But Joshua is definitely a massive puncher.
Yeah, even if you want to dig deeper in that Ruiz fight, we both feel he could have got the stoppage had he pressed the action more, but he just decided to box.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of playing with his food, because he knew Ruiz was like 290 pounds, didn't really train much, and he could basically do whatever he wanted to. If he would have pushed the action, he would have stopped him.
Exactly. But yo, Vivi, I appreciate you hopping on, man. It's always good when you hop on. We have these conversations, and I really appreciate you hopping on, my brother.
Yeah, thank you for letting me on. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, definitely a great time. All right, guys. Everybody hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys pulling up. I haven't been putting out as much content. I have a lot going on in my life right now, so please exercise some patience with me. Make sure you follow me on Twitter @_BroadwayJoel, and on Twitter on Instagram @BroadwayJoel. But all right, guys, until next time, peace.